there is zero room for negotiation in my head, right? So waking up in the morning and like, I'm tired today. Kind of just, maybe I'll just get some coffee today. I can go work out tomorrow. That does not happen in my head. It may try to, but I don't tease it. And there's a phrase that I love that I think it was Greg Laurie or someone who had said this, but he said, you can't stop a bird from landing on your head, but you can prevent it from building a nest.
Welcome to the Chapter 3 Stigma podcast. Today's episode is a short preview of a longer conversation available on the More Than Capable podcast with Kyle Kamp from Valley to Peak Nutrition. While Kyle's work lives in the realm of nutrition and fitness, this conversation goes much deeper into discipline, recovery, non-negotiables, and what it actually takes to build out systems that support real, lasting change. You'll hear a few highlights here, but the full conversation is available right now on the More Than Capable podcast. If this resonates with you, I'd encourage you to follow the More Than Capable feed and subscribe on Substack as well, where I'm sharing longer form writing around the same themes of physical, emotional, and spiritual resilience. You can find all the content at morethancapable.life. That's morethancapable.life. Now to the conversation with Kyle.
I am a huge believer in any outcome you want in life. Any outcome you want in life is the byproduct of a system you create to get it. It doesn't just happen. It's not just by chance. It's not through willpower. It's not through motivation. It is a series of little decisions that lead to that out. If you want that thing, you can have that thing if you build the system that gets the thing. So yes. A major part of that is, okay, I'm not going to violate any point in my system. Right. And any of these things that I have that either lead to fat loss or maintain fat loss or is a training derivative that produces it, like my system has to be there to get there. Right. And so the self-talk now is more of that. And I would say as a part of that, and this again, there's like you and I have talked about a million times, there's so many overlaps between addiction and alcohol and all of these things and weight loss. There is zero room for negotiation in my head, right? So waking up in the morning and like, I'm tired today. Kind of just, maybe I'll just get some coffee today. I can go work out tomorrow. That does not happen in my head. It may try to, but I don't tease it. And there's a phrase that I love that I think it was Greg Laurie or someone who had said this, but he said, you can't stop a bird from landing on your head, but you can prevent it from building a nest. Meaning, the thought comes all the time that I'd rather sit there and drink coffee and work out a different day. That comes almost every morning. What's different is I don't let that bird sit there and build the nest. Nope. I go get the shoes on. You can have coffee when you're done. You've never felt bad about going. You'll feel great when you get back. It's a non-negotiable. Yeah. And I think that is important when you are trying to establish any habit, whether it be, a nutrition habit, a fitness habit, breaking the cycle of addiction habit, money, if you're trying to get out of debt or you're trying to save for a new home or you're trying to, whatever, like that outcome is yours if you are willing to build the system and endure the parts of that system that may suck.
I have something to admit before a follow-up question, but your point about acknowledging and understanding that you still have the ability and potential of sliding back, that your past hasn't defined what happens in the future. I have a little more psychotic way that I connect and practice with that. When I drive alone, it's not always, but when I drive alone, I glance over to an empty passenger seat and I acknowledge the addictive potential that is still within me. And I just recognize it. It's weak. It hasn't reared its head lately, but I never want to lose sight of the idea that it's gone from me. It's something I've become really comfortable thinking about living with the rest of my life because I've proven how meaningful and purposeful of a life and an enriched life that I can live with it. So it's not something I'm scared of anymore, but I genuinely acknowledge it. when I'm alone, of course. I don't even want my kids to think I'm that psycho. But it's been a really helpful practice, and I see people relapse because they lose touch with that. And they think, well, I've done it this long. I can go back. Things are reset in my head. I'll be fine. This time will be different. It just never is the case with the substance addiction that I've seen. So anyway, note on that. And then I had a question about that Christmas. You said Christmas morning you were laying in bed.
Yeah.
How did you not feel overwhelmed into inaction? Like I'm just so impressed that you hit a point where you're like, well, I'm going to do something about it. So how did you avoid being overwhelmed?
Well, because I never sought out that first step was never with the intention of it becoming what it became, which was losing 140 pounds. Right. I mean, I knew nothing about nutrition. I just thought, well, man, what if I do the things I know to do, which is not casually walking past their fridge and eating 2 slices of pizza like it's drinking a sip of water. Just started really implementing those small things. So I think that's part of it. And I think another good crossover here is the business. This is my full-time job. We own a business, whatever. When I started this, it was never with the intent of it being what it is, which is my full-time job and our business. It was like, oh, well, it would be really great to have an email for people to email me at if they had questions about nutrition. That naturally led to a couple people asking for help, and that naturally led to people asking if they could pay me for that help. And then those people had success, so they told people, and it grew to this. If I had taken that first step and tried to put in place a marketing plan and an LLC and a financial budget and content like I would have been so, like you said, I would have been so overwhelmed that I wouldn't have even known, where to start. Now,
yeah,
what I'm thinking in my head is the place that falls apart, but I don't really want to use that terminology. But so I'll rephrase it like this. I think there are times where the need to quit something is so significant and potentially life-saving that you just got to stop, right? I mean, you just have to, whatever the cost be, stop. And that is even true in the nutrition world. Like I said earlier, we really try to teach people how to rethink nutrition so they're not overhauling their lives. But there are, for some people, some foods, some social situations, some scenarios, some places where, look, that sounds like a good idea, but they just can't handle it. And so in those times, it is important to say, you know what, maybe for a period of time, you just don't have it. You don't have it around. You don't have it in the house. You get out of your city and go get help rather than trying to not go to the bars or not order a beer when you go to the bars or whatever. Like there's a time where, and this is true of me. You and I have never talked about this, but when I was in high school and college, I went to college for a semester right after high school. I had a big drinking problem and a big drug problem. And I recognized there was a catalyst in my life that really changed all of that. And I severed ties with everybody, everything, moved out of my house for about 3 months, had a little apartment with no contract, just by myself. It was the smartest and best thing I've ever done in my life. And, the people that I cut ties with at that point in my life were people I had known and grown up with for years. But I knew there was 0% chance of me walking away from that stuff without just severing ties completely. It was way too likely that if I kept spending time around them, hearing stories about what they had did, that I would miss it, show up, and eventually, fall back into that. And I think there's There's times where a slow introduction without thinking about all the things that need to be done are really good. There are times where complete severance is really good and needed. And, you probably are the only person who's going to know what is the best choice for you in those scenarios. But look, whatever it is, like, you need to just do it.
If this conversation resonated with you and you want more, the full episode is available right now on the More Than Capable podcast. The links to that show on all platforms are in this episode's description. I'm also sharing longer form writing around these same themes of discipline, recovery, and building a capable life on the More Than Capable Substack, which can be found at morethancapable.life. That's morethancapable.life. You can follow the podcast and subscribe there if you want to continue this conversation.